Hello everyone, welcome to the demo day for the September cohort. So we are here today to watch the project that the September cohort have been building over the last couple of weeks. 16 weeks ago, the people here that you'll be seeing today will have never have coded before, or if they had done, tiny little bit here and there. Since then, the amount of progress they've made and the distance that you've come since that humble beginning has been really amazing to see. And they have produced some really incredible projects that you'll be seeing this afternoon, or this evening even. For those of you who, I'm sure most of you are aware, people in the room, definitely, people online, maybe less so, Makers is a 16-week intensive coding bootcamp where we start from the very basics of coding, teaching classes and variables and the really foundational building blocks of what it takes to be a software developer, and over the course of 16 weeks become developers who are able to produce whatever they like, build projects that they can be really proud of. And the projects that you see tonight, you all should be really proud of, because they're all really excellent. And it's been amazing to see you build them and to see how far you've come. After the session, one of our other coaches, Alex, sorry, I should have introduced myself. I'm John. I'm one of the technical coaches here at Makers. I've been working very closely with September over the last few months. After the presentations, there'll be a Q&A with Alex, who's one of our other coaches, and they'll be able to answer any questions that you might have about the course and about what we teach and what we do here at Makers. So the first group, Team Undefined, have set out with a mission to improve the country's populace and to help them engage in their democracy. So please, would you welcome Team Undefined?
Hello, welcome. We are Team Undefined, and we are Tom, Patricia, Ali, Joe, Ben, myself, Chris, and our Chief Joy Officer, Forrest the Cocker Spaniel, who offered us a lot of support through this. Our project comes under the umbrella of Tech for Good, and I'm going to pass over to Tom now to explain a little bit more about what that means.
Thanks, Chris. So we really wanted to live up to the Maker's name and make a thing before we left, having done a lot of exercises and not a lot of tangible stuff. So we decided to pick a problem that we thought we could definitely solve, like a nice small manageable thing, knock it off in 2 weeks. So we decided to fix politics. And as you can see by the quotes on the board there, there's probably, I think most people can agree that British politics doesn't really work as advertised right now, and there's a lot of feeling that politicians are primarily beholden to their own party. They only really get feedback from the media, and they don't really get any kind of interaction that's meaningful from the people they're supposed to represent. So our answer to that is Vote Watch. What if anytime your politician did their politics, you immediately saw what they'd done and could give them timely, appropriate feedback from the comfort of your own phone? So Joe, if you wouldn't mind walking us through.
Hello. So yeah, this is just a short demo of our app. Our project was made in the form of an application on mobile. This is a screen record of said application, and this is a screen record on my phone. Earlier on, we used Expo Go for this, and yeah, as you can see here, a user can register to sign up for that application. Everything is encrypted when they sign up, and sign up is also the state is held on the device, so they don't need to sign in every time they open the app. And as you can see here, they can enter their MP's name, and then when they log in, that MP will appear on their feed with their entire voting history of all the different votes and how they voted. So as you can see here, the different vote title, how they voted, and a link to email the MP about this. When you click on the title, it takes you through to Google, which gives you a little bit, well, allows you to research into that particular vote. And then you can swipe and see older votes. And then if you want to also click on email, which will come up with a template, which goes directly to the MP's email address, which we got from the House of Commons API. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And then you can log out as well. Oh, and then, yeah, I'll just go back because I missed notifications, which was a big part. Which when you log in, every time a new vote is passed, a notification will show, which you should see there, just at the top. Thank you.
How do you?
I think, or you can just go over here. Oh,
That's too many escapes.
how do you go into preview? Or how do you go into preview? Top right up there. That's the one.
There we go.
Perfect.
Sorry for the waiting. So this is our tech stack. We agreed on a couple of goals from the beginning. We wanted to first of all try something a bit new, something that we hadn't used before, and we wanted to build phone first because again it was quite exciting. It was something that we haven't really done before, and so we decided to use React Native. That makes that relatively easy. So it allowed us to build for a website, iOS and Android at the same time, which was really cool. And then we used Expo to pretty much build as we go. So we could make the changes and straight away they would appear on our phone or the web. And then for our backend, we decided to go for SQL instead of MongoDB, just because, well, we looked at some like job descriptions and such, and SQL seemed to be quite popular. And we use SQLize as our ORM to manage all the queries to our database. And I will leave you with Ben.
Cool. So like any kind of ambitious junior developers, we kind of see this as only the start. We would love to get this onto the App Store or one of the app stores, but it's a long way there. So yeah, next steps would be probably look at deploying on the web first and getting the app hosted. We would also look at improving the user profile and UX. One of the features that we'd like to include is finding your MP by postcode, and also allowing you to check out other MPs, not just your own. Maybe you want to see how Rishi votes. And then also building on kind of the approves and disapproves and that kind of ratio, we'd like to build out that into an analytics, potentially API of its own, maybe rating, you know, every MP by how satisfied and unsatisfied their constituents are. And then, yeah, eventually getting it on the App Store would be awesome. So, yeah. And over to Ali to see us out.
Well, thanks, Ben. Yes, so just lastly, I guess, just to wrap up, just talking about the experience of the project. I guess pretty much this is the culmination of the 16-week journey that you had John talking about earlier, which has been a great journey in itself. And then just over the last 2 weeks, we've been working on this project with Vote Watch, trying to make something useful, something tech for good, which has been a great experience, really. We've learned a lot. We've tried to work well as a team, and sort of like take on new technologies, things that we didn't really know how to use, trying to use them and do something that we think is that we're actually really passionate about and enjoy doing. So we really enjoyed it. There's been a lot of camaraderie and a lot of high-fiving and some late nights as well, which some very late nights, maybe the less we say about that is the better. But yeah, so it's been good. We've enjoyed it. We've learned a lot, and I think we'll take a lot from what we've learned over the last 2 weeks going forward. Hopefully continue with this project and then further on in our software development careers. So yeah, with that, we will thank you and we'll take any questions.
Questions, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay, apologies. No questions just yet. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Team Undefined, for that fantastic presentation. It's such a great idea. I can't wait till I'm like able to download it myself. So it's on the App Store. I look forward to that in a couple of weeks' time, maybe. We'll see. A little nudge. Our next team have spent the last 2 weeks building a new twist on a classic game. So please, could you welcome to the stage Team Rat Race.
Cool. All right. Well, we are Team Rat Race. Thank you for being here. We have built you your new favorite board game. We're a fledgling team of software developers, so to speak. We are Piper Rose Armstrong, Amir Khan, Ollie Beck, Callum Wilmot, Emisiana Hibak Obisia, and Miles Cragg. Welcome to the Rat Race.
When we started the game, we began by doing lots of brainstorming. And now game is a very broad concept, and we had lots of ideas. Whereas previous cohorts who had made the game had used a framework, we chose to build something from the ground up and consolidate everything that we've learned so far. And that is how we landed on the idea of a board game and eventually Snakes and Ladders, because we thought it was something that we could make as a polished product, but also have fun with it and put our own twist on it. And this twist came in the form of rats. And as soon as we had this idea, the ideas wouldn't stop coming. We enjoyed the planning stage so much, and I think you can tell by the design choices we made, the fact that it was 8-bit, the fact, you know, the color scheme we used. In general, as a group, we're just a bit silly. We spent a lot of time laughing, and so making our project in this way really played to our strengths and ultimately meant we made something that we're all very proud of.
So talking a bit about our project goals, you can see a diagram on the left there of our original plan for the game. Highlighted in green is actually a character selection screen and up to 4-player functionality that we originally had planned. We decided to scale that back and go for a really basic minimum viable product, which is just a 1-player game where the player can move through the board via a dice roll, with the game ending once the player reaches 100. And choosing to scale back this MVP was really key to our success and having lots of wins and feeling, you know, motivated to keep going. The main goal, of course, was to learn together, improve our React knowledge with the whole thing being built with React, and of course to work well as a team.
So we'll just show you a demo and then I'll explain how the game works.
Might need to speak over this bit, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's
Sorry about, oh wait, no, it's just muted. Let's try that again.
because there's music on there.
I'm sorry for the next song you're about.
So in terms of how the game works, as we saw, it started out with our homepage and it has a list of instructions as well as a play hover button. We've also implemented some quirky animation and music, thanks to Callum, so our resident musician. Once you go onto the game page, you can see it's a 100 square, typical of snakes and ladders, but in a zigzaggy form. And also, you can see 2 players. So we have implemented 2-player functionality. So each player takes it in turns. And if you can see on the left side of the panel, it's dynamic. So it tells you which player's turn it is. The aim of the game is to get to the 100th square. And there are obstacles and assists, the obstacles being the notes of the Pied Piper. If you land on it, you are taken down the squares. And if you land, up the squares. But the obstacle being the pipe itself. If you land on a pipe, you go to the lower square. The object of the game, as you know, is to get to the 100th square. And and what's populated at the end is a game over button indicating who won, Stuart or Remy. I'm a fan of Stuart, but I'm okay with Remy. And you have an option to start again or to go back. Now I will take you to one of our members who is coming via virtually. He has recorded a video. Bear with me one moment.
CSS and JavaScript. These are known as the Holy Trinity.
Let's go again.
Hi. For our tech stack, we use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are known as the Holy Trinity because they're pretty much responsible for nearly everything that you see on the internet today. But you know what? For us, that wasn't enough. We needed something with a bit more oomph, and that's why we incorporated React. React is a library of JavaScript and it allows it to do so much more. For example, all the things that you saw on the demo, the board, the dice, the rats moving, all possible thanks to React. For our non-tech stack, we use something called Excalidraw. Excalidraw essentially helped us understand the design of the game, how different components work together. Without Excalidraw, we would have had a significantly more difficult time making the game. And the Trello board was used in order to allocate work, in order to make sure that we were on time with all our deadlines, and to make sure that everyone was making a solid contribution and no one was left out.
So as Piper mentioned earlier, because we took so long designing the look of the game, it was relatively easy to design a simple homepage with the retro look, with the title. We went with the theme of the Pied Piper, so with the music notes behind it, simple instructions and a play button. And then our design for the board, it started off simple with just a 10 by 10 square. As new features were implemented, we added the designs to show those. So you can see as our game board progressed, we added features for the dice, we added the turn-based functionality, and when we finally had it ready, thanks to Miles, we had the game board look, and we just had to overlay that on top of our functioning square.
Oops. It's a very straightforward game, isn't it? And all the basic components had behind them some really quite complex logic, it turns out. The first and most important one perhaps being the board itself. It turns out, as we discovered, that you can't just take 100 squares, put them all together in a grid and give them each a number, because then you don't get the zigzagging left to right, right to left effect that Snakes and Ladders is built on. So what we had to do instead was to make 10 rows, each one with the numbers 1 to 10. Then we needed to work out a way of adding 10 to each row so that you could then go up incrementally up to 100. And then we needed to work out another way of reversing every other row so that they would snake in that formation we all know and love. But that sounded easy in 10 seconds. It was incredibly difficult in actual fact. Once we got the board, we were able then to program a random number, which would be assigned to one of these dice images that would be displayed, and you can see what you rolled. It would then assign that same number to your player, and it would move that number along the board. So all we needed then really was some pipes and some notes. Each pipe would have a start and an end square, same with the notes, and when you landed on the start one, you would be transported as if by magic to the last square.
So we are a team of 7, organising a team that large compared to the projects we've done before. We needed a team charter, which would basically outline how we were going to approach the project. The initial concerns were mainly bureaucratic. It was to do with when we would have meetings, when we would go over the work we'd done, when we would work, take breaks, these kind of things. But we also, in this charter, outlined 4 core values that we were going to try and uphold in the project. Now, the first was having kind of patience and compassion with each other, predominantly when, you know, one person might not be sort of doing as well in a certain area. It was very important to kind of put your arm around people. Next was honesty, to being transparent in how we're doing with the code base, how we're feeling in the project. We put a huge emphasis on trying to prioritize fun, especially when dealing with unfamiliar technology. Very easy to get stressed and burnt out. And so not only did fun make it more enjoyable, but we were also considerably more productive as a result. And then the one that I can't stress enough was knowledge sharing through retros was a sort of core tenet of how we proceeded. When one person has a breakthrough, not everybody else necessarily has it at the same time. And we tried to share knowledge as effectively and regularly as possible.
So some of the challenges and highlights throughout the process and the key ones. A big challenge was learning how to build from scratch in React. We'd done a little bit of React previously in the course, but starting from scratch was something entirely new. But in the end, it really improved our knowledge. And I think we all feel a lot more confident with it now, which is great. Building a game is quite different to a lot of the other projects we've undertaken throughout the course. There's no back end, which is thankful in a lot of ways, but it does present more logical challenges, which was, yeah, quite difficult to get through at first, but became quite fun as we went through. We definitely underestimated the scope of the game. It does seem quite simple at first glance, but there is a lot of hidden complexity there that we didn't anticipate. Zigzag snaking board being one that we've mentioned already. But when we got that right, it was definitely the most satisfying part. During the first week, the first big win was actually getting a player on the board, which looking back now seems silly, but at the time it felt huge. Getting the drain pipes and the musical notes made it feel like a proper Snakes and Ladders game, which was a really big milestone for us as well. And the 2-player functionality actually making it a race, making there some stake in the game. And lastly, combining all the custom designs, so the music that Callum designed, the board that Miles designed, the rats and the Pied Piper that Piper designed, and everyone else's ideas coming together and working with the game logic. Once we got it all in one thing, it was just a really satisfying feeling. And of course, the team, I think we can all safely say we've had so much fun over the past 2 weeks. We've all learned together, we've shared in the high moments and the low moments. So yeah, it's been a really great 2 weeks and a really great final project. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been, I have to say, you were talking a little bit there about kind of how you worked as a team and how much fun you had and all of that. And I have to say, it's been really amazing seeing this team in particular, how much they've built each other up and supported each other throughout the last 2 weeks, and especially the knowledge sharing. I feel like you really committed to that and stuck with it throughout the whole project. It was really, really fantastic to see. So thanks again, Team Rat Race. I forgot that. So the next team are here to revolutionize your social life and how you meet people. So please welcome Team Friendzone.
Welcome to our presentation, and today we're here to introduce you to Friendzone, a social media site which encourages friendship, bringing the world together and making a better place. When coding the project, we used the MERN stack. We've used it in previous projects, so it's an opportunity to become more confident and master the stack. So MERN is made up of MongoDB, a database where all our user information is stored, and chat history get saved in the backend. Express is a framework which offers features such as handling user requests from the browser. And React, which is a front-end library created by Facebook, is used among many popular sites such as Instagram. So I thought, why not use it for FriendZone? React operates from the front end and sends messages to the backend. And last but not least, Node.js, which is a runtime environment and executes JavaScript code. So another reason we use MERN is because there's one common language throughout the stack, and that is JavaScript, allowing us to focus our attention on one of the most agile languages out there. After becoming experts in the MERN stack, it's only fitting we name our talented team Mernsters Inc. I'll now hand you over to Pauline.
So hi, we took time to brainstorm and find an idea slash concept that resonated with us all. We floated multiple social media ideas. We thought it was important, that it was something that we all had strong opinions about and cared about. We found talking about our friendship circles and how things changed post-pandemic, both observed and experienced. We saw a possible gap in the market for a fun, interactive and frivolous friendship social media application. So with that in mind, FriendZone was born. We debated and discussed how the connotation of FriendZone is traditionally seen as a negative. However, our app serves to make a negative into a positive and get people out there connecting and getting out of an isolated small world state. So the next thing was our branding and logo. So with branding and logo, we wanted some playful, professional and understated design that would immediately convey the who, the what, the why and how of this application. Okay, maybe we might have borrowed some major functionality and design elements from some market leaders. However, the idea was to know with each single page where the what, the where, and the concept of the app, so that you could get to work straight away, making friends and friendship connections. So we need to play Sunita's. Yeah.
As a team, we're using Agile. To organize our project, we used a Trello board to create tickets with clear goals, and we rotated the leadership role so that everybody had a chance to improve their soft skills. To start our project, we had the end user in mind throughout the experience of every stage of the application, and we then tie that into our front end and back end diagrams. During this, we experienced a few challenges. We were a bit too ambitious at the start. All of us were very excited to start the project, and we had a lot of ideas. This led to a bit of over planning at the start of the project. We also didn't start the harder features, for example, the swipe feature, until week 2. But reflecting upon this, we should have ideally started it in week 1. And also we were learning a lot of new tech within a short period of time.
Yeah, so when coming up with the project, we had to design user stories for the type of person we imagined to be using this thing. So I'm someone with no mates and having no luck in the romance department. Where is there a place for me on the internet to go get friend zoned? There currently isn't one. We imagined people who had moved from to cities or to universities or even relocated for jobs, who might not know anyone, and they could relocate. They could match with other people with similar interests, so they might be able to form lasting friendships. Hence the tagline, "Don't be alone, join Friend Zone." In relation to the sign up, it's obviously the standard sign up with also a username to allow people to browse through it anonymously in case they're to protect their privacy. It is also fully encrypted. I'll now hand over to my colleague, David.
So once you selected so you log in, it's got a swipe function to select people to speak to, so you can swipe left to go through the number of people in the that are already signed up to it, and then swipe right will create a chat between yourself and that person. And then you can leave messages that are available to both parties when they're both logged in, or when each one of them is logged in. So the server, which is Express, talks to the database and stores everything in there. The chat function has a list of potential chats that you can select between yourself and whoever you've connected to on the left-hand side. You can add chats to them. Both are available to each user.
Cool. So in terms of like new tech we wanted to add, we wanted to make our lives as developers easier. So we added a V, which is a much faster version of React that we can hot swap on the fly. So we can change code out, keep the user logged in, see what like a new component looks like a new navbar, for instance, and without having to sign back in, which is really cool. We added Tailwind, which is like pre-built styles. So we managed to get like a nice looking component really quickly without having to build it ourselves essentially. For the backend, because we're building it ourselves, we didn't have to. So like this time around, we're able to understand what each bit of the backend does, as opposed to just accepting it exists. For swipes, we use gesture and use Spring. Plenty of maths involved in terms of getting calculating which direction you swiped and doing a thing off that. So yeah, thank you.
All right, so the demo here. So this is the homepage. You can put your details in there. So a famous person signing up, obviously mass appeal. Already so much hype. Yeah, so the password's encrypted in it. It's all built in React. So you can choose a file and upload it. It's stored in Google Firebase. The third party makes it available to everyone. Once you've signed up, fill in all details, goes to the login page. And then you can swipe. You swipe left, that goes to people. Swipe right, this creates a chat between yourself and the person that you've connected to. You can leave messages there, and you log in with someone else. So famous. So you can yeah, leave chats, well, leave messages between each people. There's a third login in there coming up. Attention. Cool. And there's multiple chats that you can select between and add messages to each one of those. And this concludes Friend Zone.
Thank you, Friend Zone. I think it's really cool seeing you take some of the technologies we teach on the course and like morph it into something completely new. It's really cool. Really excellent to see. Our last group of the night, but by no means least, is Team Grinch Gang. So please welcome to the stage, Team Grinch Gang. Start on slideshows.
Hello, so we are the Grinch Gang and we've created Merry Crypto. So in our team, we've got Kate, Naray, me, and then Emily, who unfortunately can't be with us today. So what is Merry Crypto? It is basically a cryptocurrency data aggregator, meaning we just bring in lots of different data and try and make it really valuable for the user. And it also has an inbuilt portfolio manager. So some of our key features include that there's a user account, so users can register, sign in and sign out. By having an account, they can then have a watch list where they can favorite their favorite cryptocurrencies. They can also have a portfolio where they can input like their cryptocurrency purchases and then see their profit and loss based on like the current prices. And then also probably one of our key feature is that all the data is live. So we have about 10 different API calls from 3 different providers. So we use Twitter, CoinGecko, and then CryptoCompare.
I'm going to cover challenges and success we had. The challenges are learning new language, TypeScript, and learning new stacks, Nest.js and Angular. In the very short period of time, we had to get used to the different file structure and new command and testing. And because we are quite a small group, it's only 4 of us, we had to do more individual work to get our minimal features done. And the biggest success we had is that we built a lot of confidence working with the new stacks we never met before. We spent the first 2 days just playing with them, watching tutorials and running workshop ourselves. We reviewed our tickets every day and broke it down into the manageable size, as you can see on the screen of our turtleboard. It's quite a long ticket there. And we had a really great teamwork, no conflicts or no work drama. And we helped each other with the blockers and we worked independently, taking responsibility. So as a Grinchy gang, as a team, we managed to achieve more than we expected from the beginning of the project.
I will now play a live demonstration, which we recorded beforehand. Let's see if that works. Oops.
This is a demonstration of Merry Crypto web application. This is a homepage. User can see total market data. For the smoother user experience, the loading bar is displayed while the data is retrieved from the API. You will be able to see the loading bar here. The total market data displays total active coins, total market cap with 24-hour change, and total 24-hour trading volume. Next feature is the table. Table displays top 30 coins by market cap. It has a filtering feature which allows to sort by name, price, market cap, daily change, and 24-hour volume. User can click on the coin name to be redirected to individual coin page. Individual coin page displays information for the individual coins. User can adjust information for the relevant currency by selecting one of the chips. The price and the market stats will be then adjusted for the relevant currency. The graph displays the closing price of the coin and can be adjusted for the relevant currency and period. Market stats have tooltips to show the explanation of the data. Page also displays the relevant news for each of the coin. User can redirect to the page of the article by clicking here. User can also see all the relevant latest tweets about the coin. User can search for a coin with the search bar. Search bar has the auto suggestion, so when the user starts typing, it will display relevant results. User can navigate to individual coin page from the search bar. If user tries to go to the page which doesn't exist, the error page will be displayed. If user tries to start a coin or see exchanges or news, user will be redirected to login page. If user doesn't have an account, user can go to the register page. If user tries to leave any of the fields empty or enter invalid email, the form will flag that. User can unhide their passwords. The passwords are encrypted with bcrypt and stored as a hash in the database. If user tries to register with the email or username which already exists in the database, the form will flag an error. If all details are correct, the user will be redirected to the login page. If user tries to enter incorrect details, the form will give an error. Once user logged in successfully, they are redirected to the home page. The navbar displays the username of the current user. The user can now go to the exchanges page, which displays the top 100 cryptocurrency exchanges ranked by the trust score. The table has also got the filtering feature. User can navigate to the exchange page by clicking on the relevant exchange. The user can go to the news page to see all the recent cryptocurrency news, and user can go to the individual article page. User can now star the coins to track them and see them in the watch list. User can now see the starred coins here and can also unstar them from here. User can go to the portfolio page to add the coins to their portfolio and track the profit and loss comparing to the purchase price to the current price of the coin. Let's try to do that. If user tries to add the same coin, it will be merged with the existing holding. The user can also delete the coin from their portfolio. Finally, for extra Christmas vibes, we have a snow animation. It fades in and out for 30 seconds. This is Merry Crypto web application. Thank you.
No questions, just thank you.
Great. I'd like to just say thank you once more to all of our teams that presented this evening. So I'd like to, one more little round of applause for yourselves. I'll head back to the opening slide. Makers over the past however many years have trained hundreds of developers, and now those developers are either just fresh out of the boot camp, about to go get their first jobs as junior developers. Some of them have been working in tech for some time and now senior developers. Some of them have even started their own companies. For people watching online, if you're thinking about doing the Makers course, if you've seen these projects and thought, there's no way that I could do that, believe me, I've heard that so many times from so many people, and throughout the course, the amount of growth that the devs here show is always incredible. And that's especially true for this cohort. It's really been amazing watching you all progress and how far you've come. I'd really like to encourage you to stay in touch, both with each other and with us here at Makers. Makers is a community, and we often say that once you're a maker, you're always a maker, and it's definitely true. So you're always welcome back. yeah, I think that's pretty much all we have for tonight for in person. If you're joining us online, my colleague Alex will be taking some questions along with someone from our careers team. But just to wrap up, I'd just like to say thank you all so much and congratulations on everything you've achieved. It's been really fantastic to see.
I hope you enjoyed just the presentations that you saw from our cohort that started in August, I believe. My name is Inês and I'm part of the course sales team, and this is Alex, one of our coaches, and we'll be doing the Q&A for you. So if you have any questions, I think there is a Q&A box where you can put them and we'll just answer for you. Alex, I don't know if you want to say some words.
I think you pretty much covered it. I really enjoyed the demos. I hope everyone did. And yeah, I'm actually in the room, so I'm in a slightly dark corner. But yeah, here we go. So we actually have a question already. So Inês, the question is, I assume Maker's coding program offer entrepreneurial coaching when building a product from scratch, i.e. the friend zone product. So that's probably more in my wheelhouse than yours. So while the friend zone product is live, we don't offer any specific coaching on how to launch it as a product. That said, Makers graduates have launched their own products. But no, I'm afraid we don't offer any specific entrepreneurial coaching. Really, we're focused on the ability to get things done technically and to build something amazing without the other sides of enterprise like marketing, sales, other things that you would need to consider when trying to launch a product. Inês, anything you'd like to add to that?
Not really, you covered most of it as well. And I believe that even if that's on that specific question, if we don't offer the entrepreneurial support, like the boot camp is supposed to mimic what will be a role as a junior, as a software developer. So as the months will go, especially on the full-time period of the course, the structure that the boot camp is on is basically meant for you to be able to solve and to think out of the box and how can you tackle the situations that will come to you. So I think you'll get used to that and you'll be able to solve that. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you for rounding that out. We have another question. So I think this is probably going to be more in your area, Inês. So MWK is saying, hi, I've completed the Ruby course and have 130 points on Code Wars, so I'm hoping to apply soon. I was wondering what to expect in the application process in terms of the coding challenge and interview. Is there anything I can do to be better prepared for the coding challenge?
Okay, so I would say that's great already that you've done Code Academy and you have 130 points on Code Wars. That's already fantastic. Good work and keep on going. So the Codebyte challenge is very similar to the katas that you've been doing on Code Wars so far. So definitely, if that's your next step, keep on practicing on Code Wars. It doesn't matter if you have 100, 130, 200. And if you think like it's getting easy, up the katas. So instead of doing 8 and 7, go for 6. That's great practice for Codebyte. And the only difference is that the Codebyte challenge is time. So you have 1 hour to do it. Once you pass, and by pass, I mean 75 or above, then you'll be sent to the interview. And basically the interview is just to assess your soft skills. So it's literally a nice chat with one of our selection coaches. They'll just want to get to know you. Why do you want to do this? Why do you love tech? Why do you want to join Makers? And want to know more about communication, teamwork. So like a normal job interview, but they're really nice and friendly. And they're just there to really, they want to see you succeed and get onto the boot camp. So not scary at all.
All right, thank you, Inês. Let's look at the next question. We're getting through them quickly. So Do you have many people doing the course who struggle to keep up with the pace? Seems to be that most keep up, but keen to see how you might support those who might struggle more as the course goes. So I think that's probably more on my side than yours, Anish. We do keep track of how people are doing on the course, both in terms of technical progress and also in terms of emotional well-being. We have emotional intelligence coaching as part of the course. So if you're worried about the emotional side, then that's something I think we're really good at. We also, of course, keep track of people's technical progress. And if you're struggling technically, we'll talk to you and identify if there are any blockers. And if necessary, we'll offer you some one-to-one coaching with one of the technical coaches like me to help you to catch up and keep up. So yeah, people do sometimes struggle. The pace is designed to be challenging. It's designed to be continually challenging, but it's not intended to be too much. We monitor that quite well. Anything you would like to add to that, Anish, before we move on?
Yes, I think on that, if someone is struggling on that first step, of course, like the coach will be the primary resource for you to go forward and ask for help and say like, hey, I think I'm falling a bit behind. And sometimes you just have that imposter syndrome that you're just like, oh, I'm not good enough for this, but actually you might be doing all right. So definitely reach out to a coach when that happens. And even sometimes, of course, there are external circumstances, something might happen, illness or something. We also have deferrals. So if something extraordinary happens, you can definitely defer from one cohort to another later. And that's something that we can, between the coaches and us, try to agree and see what would be the best decision for the specific situation of that student.
Cool. Thank you, Anish. Let's move on to our next question. So what are the requirements of the program? Because I'm a complete beginner. You are in good company, anonymous attendee. Anish, do you want to talk about the requirements of the program?
Sure, it's absolutely fine to be a beginner. We have people reaching out to us every single day that never wrote a line of code in their lives, and that's absolutely fine. What we want to know is try and understand, first of all, if you enjoyed it, if it's something that you would enjoy doing. So there are plenty of free resources online that you can try and reach out. Code Academy and Code Wars are part of our application process, and those are great just for you to have a try. Also, if sometimes you think this is too hard and you get stuck, you have Google, YouTube, use those to search stuff and to see if you enjoy it, have a play with it, see how you feel. And then if you're considering doing something like this, have a look. Like even with us is not about just getting you through the bootcamp to this really intense and amazing thing. Is also as well the job support at the end and everything that comes with it. So it's a really intense journey, but every single month we have students that never did this before and didn't have any coding background, and they did it and they made it and they found jobs after this. So if you're thinking I'm a bit scared and maybe this is not for me, first of all, have a play with it, see how you feel, do a couple online free resources, and then have a think.
All right, thank you, Anish. Okay, let's move on. MWK is back with another question and a thank you. So MWK is asking, are we allowed to use Google for the coding challenge? When I'm doing Code Wars challenges, I use VS Code to try out different solutions before putting it back onto Code Wars. Would I be allowed to do that for Codabytes? So I think you can answer this better than I can. So please do, and I'll add anything I need to at the end.
Yes, please. So yes, you can. I would just say that the challenge is being recorded and monitored. So if you leave the page too many times, it will flag for plagiarism. So that's something to have a look at. Just be mindful of. So, but you can use Google. Do you have anything to add on this, Alex? You're a bit more of an expert.
Yeah, so I would say it should be your own solution. While it's okay to look up a part of how you solve a problem, if you're looking up an entire solution, then I'm going to say you're probably harming yourself as much as anything, because the expectation is that you'll be able to solve this problem with some reference materials rather than you'll be able to look up a solution and copy and paste it in. So have your own solution. I like using VS Code when I'm working on Code Wars Catters myself. I totally do that. But in Codebyte, I would probably not do that because, again, there's a risk that you flagged for plagiarism, even though you're copying your own solution back into it. So I'd really encourage you to break the problem down for yourself, solve it yourself, make sure it really is your own solution. But everyone has to look up things on the internet. So if you're trying to do a Codebyte challenge in Ruby, you want to know how to reverse an array, let's say. Technical terms, I know. Of course, people look it up, right? Ruby array reverse, and you find out that you can just do dot reverse and it works. So we fully expect you to use reference materials like that. We just want to see your solution, not one you've copied and pasted. Okay. Next question. Arif is asking, what will you teach us? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and C++? Well, I'm going to tell you that we teach some of those things, but not all of them. We will teach you some HTML, we will teach you some CSS, we will teach you some JavaScript. Mostly the focus is going to be on things which are not just languages and concrete things. Something we talk about from time to time is a structure we call CCSB, concrete concepts, skills, and behaviors. Concrete things might be how to reverse an array. It's something that's quite definite, but it's something where maybe if you changed where you work as a developer, it's not necessarily going to be so relevant. So we try to focus a bit more on skills and behaviors that are required to be a really effective developer. One of those examples would be debugging. Debugging is one of the 4 pillars of our first module. So we focus quite a lot on that. We use Ruby as a starting language because it's a friendly starting language. So you'll learn some Ruby, but the point is not really to learn Ruby. And in fact, around the middle of the course, we teach how to learn a new language, and we use JavaScript as our example there. So that's the point at which we would introduce JavaScript in the course. And again, when we talk about skills and behaviors, learning a new language is a skill, and it has lots of little skills that come together to make that up. And generally, we find that's more important than a specific technology or language. Cool. Inej, do you think there's anything to add or anything I should expand upon there?
I could add something because even not just on the technical terms, the aim here is for our students to become as well language agnostic. So they can go out to a company and pick up any language that company might be working it for a specific project or something they're doing, or if is a language that they just use in the company. So you can pick it up fairly easily. So yes, as Alex was saying, they'll introduce Ruby, JavaScript, you'll touch upon other languages, but the aim here is for you to be able to learn how to learn more languages. So the more colors you have on your palette, the better, right?
Absolutely. And actually, to expand upon that again, from personal experience, I worked at one of our hiring partners, one of Maker's hiring partners, and there we had quite a few Makers graduates come to work with us. we were working in C# and Python. Neither of those languages is anywhere on the course. And so, yes, Makers Graduate's first challenge was to learn to be effective in C# and Python. But a couple of weeks later, it was really a non-issue. It was very, very quick for them to pick it up and to be effective. Cool. Shall we move on to the next question? Alrighty. So, next question. What is the range of programming languages the course covers? Is it completely focused on JavaScript? I dare say we've just answered that as a sort of side effect of answering the previous question. We will touch on Ruby. We will touch on JavaScript. We'll also touch on SQL as part of our databases week. And the final project, which you've just seen the demos from, is 2 weeks where a team will be able to choose the technologies they work with. So in this case, I think every single team chose to work with JavaScript, and that's great. But historically, we've had some teams who have elected to work in Python or in other technologies of various sorts. Cool. Anything to add, Anish? No. Alrighty. Let's move on then. So, if we apply now and are successful through all rounds, can we start in a later cohort, for example, March or April? And are there any part-time learning options for the bootcamp? This is very much in your wheelhouse, so I'm going to leave the answer to this one to you.
Sure, thank you, Alex. So first part of the question, I'll say absolutely yes. I love to see early applications because it just means you have time to go through the application process and still have a breather through the stages. So definitely, I'm already taking applications who are aiming to start in March. This is also because we don't have a January and February cohort. So after the cohort we have, which just starts next Monday on the 5th, our next one is going to be the 13th of March. So definitely, if you're looking for March or April, I'll say even put your application down now, and then we can work out a good timeline for you to be able to successfully complete the application process and start in March or April. On the second part of your question, unfortunately, we don't have any part-time learning options because the structure of the course is meant to be quite intensive to get you and immerse you in that journey of just acquiring all the learning that the coaches will give you and then fully immerse into the job market as well. Do you have anything to add on this last bit, Alex? Because I know you do have loads of information.
So the focus of the course is on learning skills. And if you've learned skills before, you'll know perhaps that there's a certain pace you have to keep up. And that would be really hard to do in a part-time course. Well, we have historically had a few part-time courses. Really, I think the full-time bootcamp is the way, and a part-time course would have to be designed very differently. So we don't have any part-time learning options, and I doubt that we'll have any anytime soon, I'm afraid. Cool. Shall we move on? Okay, we have another question from MWK. I am interested in applying for the scholarship with CodeBar. Is the application process the same? And would I be able to apply for the skills bootcamp with a funded one at the same time? Inej, I think you can answer this.
Yes. So I have bad news here. This week, we just awarded our last scholarship with CodeBar, so we're still on the process of removing that from the websites from CodeBar as well. So unfortunately, CodeBar doesn't have any more scholarships, but the application process was exactly the same. On the DFE side, although, so the skills bootcamp funded by the government, that's still open, so you can definitely fill up an application form for that. That is a fully funded space on the Academy bootcamp, so as well the 16-week long one. The only difference on the application process is that once you filled up that application form, you only have 10 days to complete Code Academy and Code Wars. So I would be mindful of that. In comparison to the Academy Bootcamp, you don't have a set period of time. So just be mindful if you want to fill that application form. Also, have a look at the eligibility criteria that you'll find on the page to see if you meet those, and then you should be fine.
Right. Thank you, Inej.
Okay.
We have a couple more questions. So the first here is, can you share the application? So we will send out an email after this. I don't know if that will have the application link, but I can follow up with our departments to do that, or maybe you're able to do that yourself, Inej.
I'm not sure if they can see if we put it here on the chat box. I don't think so, because this is a Q&A, but also it should be very easy. So if you go just to our makers homepage, there is like a button on the top right corner that says apply. If you go there, you can see everything.
Cool. If you send a chat to everyone, then I think attendees will be able to see it. Meanwhile, we have another question, which is how many languages are there? My head hurts, lol. I'm going to say that programming languages, there are many, many more than you will ever learn. I've worked substantially in maybe 10 over the course of a 10-year career. So I would say there are many. There are loads which are never even used. Some of them are old, some of them are new. Some of them are almost for art. So there's, if you want to get into the weird world of coding languages, there is a coding language which is, I've forgotten the artist's name, but it basically involves big blocks of color, and the code itself is in the form of images. So there are some really weird ones out there. We're not going to worry about those. Ruby is a really nice general purpose programming language that is widely used and has a really great community. JavaScript, again, a general purpose programming language. It's got a massive community. It's literally on everyone's computer because everyone has a web browser. And so we'll set you up to work well in those languages. We're not going to set you up to work particularly well in the language where the code is images. Sorry, if you want to learn that, you may have to learn it for yourself. But we'll focus on a couple. They will set you up for the majority commercial languages that you'll see out there in the industry. Okay. We have another question saying, thank you. How long has it taken on average for someone to find a job after Makers? I'm afraid I don't have any good stats on that, but Inej, you might, I'm not sure.
Yes, so at the moment, we are saying that it takes from, oh, sorry, I'm just trying to send the links as well at the same time. I think I did that already. So at the moment, we're saying that it takes up to 3 to 5 months to get a job. But honestly, I worked on the partnership teams before, and I would say that it really depends because there are very variants on this side of the journey. So I've seen people who definitely waited more than 5 months, like 8 months, but I've seen people finishing a cohort and getting a job in 10 days. So it really depends on who you are, who is the company that's coming in through the door, do your values align, what you're looking for as well, because sometimes the company might come in and that's not what the kind of environment you're looking for. So it really depends. There is no set period of time that is like, I can guarantee you that after 4 months you'll get that job. No way. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe what we see is that it depends a lot on your approach, but there's also a small element of luck. Sometimes companies just have loads of applicants and you can get lost in the mix if you're not getting it absolutely right. So there is always an element of make your own luck. but we can talk about that on the course if you're successful as an applicant. Cool. I think we have answered all of our questions.
Yes.
So let's give it maybe 1 minute more just to see if any more questions come in, and then we will call an end to this proceedings.
Perfect. Just clear. I think there is a good bit of information that we didn't share here that I can definitely share. So as I said before, we have a course starting next Monday on the 5th, and then the next one is only in March, the 13th of March. But it's good to have a look, an eye out for the deliveries of the respective cohorts, because if you might be looking at a more remote approach or face-to-face approach, that might vary from the cohort you're choosing. So definitely on our website, in front of the dates, you can see the delivery of the cohorts and have a look out for that. If you're more of an online, so you might choose more of a remote delivery than the hybrid. And I think on the next hybrid deliveries that we're doing, we're looking to do more face-to-face approach, so more time in the office. And if that's right up your alley, that might be something to look out for.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. If you want to catch the news when we open applications, the way to do that is follow us on social media. I know we're very active on Facebook and we're very active on LinkedIn. I would recommend you follow both of those at least. Are there any other social media people should follow?
I would say LinkedIn is the best, because you can also see, I like always to say this to everyone, have a look at our stats. So I think the marketing team posts monthly stats in there for the students that have graduated, how many students have gotten jobs, what was the average salary of that month. So that's great things for you to look at, for you to see like how many people actually made it this month. So I think it's really great. But yeah, on our website as well, you can see the next intake. But definitely LinkedIn, even if you're looking for apprenticeships, that would be the best option.
We've had no further questions, so I think I'm going to call proceedings to a close. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. Thank you for all of your questions. And yeah, we'll hope to see some of you in the course, most of you in the course perhaps, and a few of you maybe on the next demo day.
Yes.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.